Thank you for taking the time to join us today, everyone. My name is Jenny Cull, and I'm the Manager of Strategic Partnerships for HelpSeeker. My role is raising awareness about our work and to always be on the lookout for partnership opportunities that align with our values. Joining me in presenting today are my colleagues, our VP of Systems Mapping, Nicole Croft, as well as our Systems Mapping Specialist and Help Desk Lead, Danny Gillard. We will be using the next 45 minutes to discuss the demands of frontline work in today's pandemic and some potential solutions, some potential solutions that you can carry in your pocket. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, so please feel free to pop your questions in the chat box and we'll be sure to address them then. So let's get started. I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. So Canada has a long history of colonialism, and as we look forward to creating a better future, we can't do that without acknowledging systemic harm. Land acknowledgements are also a way for us to recognize the strengths of the people of this land in our multiculturalism and in our own cultures, as well as recognizing our connection to one another. We are joining you today, as I said, from Calgary, and while our land acknowledgement encompasses our region, we encourage you to reflect on the land that you live on today, as well as the First Peoples that live there and your shared histories. In the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to acknowledge that we live on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, and Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Iahe Nakota Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. I would also like to take a minute to thank you as frontline workers for the incredible work you do to help others every day, and most especially over the last year throughout COVID-19. Your dedication to your work and supporting others in these uncertain times is really honorable. We also appreciate that your time is very valuable, and we're grateful that you chose to spend some of it with us today. So thank you. So to give you some context about HelpSeeker, we've been around since 2017, and HelpSeeker was created by a couple with both lived experience in social issues, frontline workers. So they have a solid understanding that trying to find help, whether for yourself or for others, is complicated and overwhelming. Our mission is to change that. Our mission is to resolve complex social challenges through social and technological innovations. We chose to become designated as a B Corporation as we wanted to be accountable to social and environmental standards, but we also wanted the ability to make agile decisions like a business. The apps we'll be reviewing today were built with the purpose of matching those in need with the appropriate services quickly, anonymously, and effectively at no charge. The first app we'll be looking at is our HelpSeeker navigation app, which is a holistic inventory of all help services, helplines, benefits, and social programs available in a community. HelpSeeker maps all of these services and ensures that the information is accurate and kept as up to date as possible. It is available for download on any smartphone, so Apple or Android device, or accessible from any computer desktop with internet access at www.helpseeker.org. The second app we'll review is our Wellbeing Screener, which is a self-assessment tool that helps users identify areas in their life that needs attention, and then pairs the user with the services, programs, benefits, or helplines that they could follow up with to improve their situations. Currently, this is available for download on any smartphone, Apple or Android device. Both apps are free and are completely anonymous to use. We do not collect any personal information. Despite the fact that there are literally hundreds of thousands of support services available across Canada, the most common cited concern is that people just don't know where to go for help. Even if the information exists online, finding it is hard. For one, not everyone has access to technology or feels safe searching online for help. Google searches don't necessarily produce relevant results unless very specific terms are used. Service provider websites are not optimized for search engines, so often their sites are listed way down the list on a Google search. And often information on programs, contacts, eligibility, and availability is outdated, which causes grief for someone who's already in a lot of distress. And so people turn to you to point them in the right direction. HelpSeeker calls you the navigators, but really you're our everyday heroes. Whether you're a social worker, a first responder, a nurse, doctor, police officer, teacher, clergy, or counselor, people come to you for help. And depending on your line of work, they may even expect you to know how to find help for them. But in a lot of cases, it's not much easier for you to find services either. My husband's a teacher, and over the years, there have been times when he has tried to find supports for his students or for their families. So he would spend time Googling services, which in itself takes a lot of time. And then he'd question whether the services he found were even appropriate for the situation. So it leaves someone trying to find help for someone else feeling kind of unequipped and helpless. Some of the issues that we hear from frontline workers is that you wish you could help everyone in need, but you're overworked and there just isn't enough time in the day. You wish you could empower clients to find help for themselves, kind of like, teaching someone to fish rather than giving them the fish. You want to find the best fit program for that person in need so that they don't have to make compromises. So for instance, if a man was recently evicted from his home and he has a dog, so you're trying to find a shelter for them, you want to make sure that the shelter that you do find for them accommodates pets so that they don't have to be separated. You're not aware about program changes, so keeping up with all the changes that happened during COVID-19, for instance, there were a lot of programs that closed temporarily or permanently, and there are a lot of programs that open fresh and new, and you're not expected to know them all. There's just too many. You don't know what other programs exist outside of the ones you normally refer clients to. Language barriers can be problematic. You spend a lot of time Googling services, or you might have the opposite problem. You might not have access to a computer that would allow you to find and share information about supports with the people that are seeking help. So we hear you, and we've created our apps with all of these concerns in mind as a way to resolve these issues. I'll now turn it over to our VP of Systems Mapping, Nicole Croft, and our Systems Mapping Specialist and Help Desk Lead, Danny Gillard, so that they can guide you through our apps.
Thank you very, very much, Jenny. My name is Nicole Croft, and like Jenny said, I'm the VP of Systems Mapping. So part of my role is coordinating the activity around systems mapping. So from the research and data entry to quality assurance, scheduling regular updates, and ensuring that each systems map is representative of the community and its needs. So we are gonna in a couple minutes do a couple demos. So I'd encourage you to download those apps if you haven't done so already. And if you don't, I would, if you want to follow along, we'll highlight some of those features as we go. Danielle also is going to join us. She's from Help Desk, and we're keeping an eye on those questions. So after each kind of demonstration, there'll be an opportunity for us to highlight any questions or things you would like to learn about before we move on. So. Thank you very much. So today I'll be introducing the HelpSeeker navigation app with over 200,000 services, programs, benefits, and helplines available across Canada. It is up to date. It's available in 23 languages, easy to navigate, easy to share, a one-stop shop for all your clients' needs in categories such as COVID, shelter, food and clothing, emergency and disaster, safety and abuse, general health, mental health and addictions, education and training, parenting and childcare, financial assistance, and so much more. So I just wanted to highlight a few of them, but we do have a number of categories of services. So let's talk about what makes this app different from other resource directories. So user experience is our top priority. We are constantly improving our features with the feedback we receive in mind. One of the reasons we can do that is we're an agile startup with the best kind of tech and user experience talent available. And unlike other service directories, we encourage service providers to claim and manage their own listings. So that just really helps ensure that the information that's presented is up to date and accurate. So what that means is if there is an update to a program, hours, modality, or any other changes, once those changes are saved, that information is reflected real time. So when you or a client opens that listing, they will see the latest updates every time. Here's a list of our main service categories. You can qualify your search to target areas specific to your client. So including the types of needs you're looking for, such as shelter or food, population focus, whether you need translation services or free services. By selecting either fewer or more tags will broaden or narrow your search results. So in addition to the advanced search, you can also search using a search bar as well to search for keywords relevant to your need or situation, and we will look at that in a couple minutes. So before we look at how to access those resources using our apps, I'd like to mention that we are Canada-wide and are proud and have recently partnered with CMHC to expand services across Canada. So I'd like to take a closer look at what that looks like, especially anyone eagerly waiting in those eastern provinces for HelpSeeker. So we have systems mapping as far west as Vancouver Island, including Victoria, Nanaimo. I did hear somebody say they're from Nanaimo. On the mainland in Metro Vancouver, Abbotsford, Kelowna, and a lot more. We are active in many communities across Alberta, all major cities, and lots of rural mapping happening in Saskatchewan, all cities and large population areas across Manitoba, with special involvement in Winnipeg and Brandon. We have a mapping team just finishing up mapping in the Greater Toronto areas, with planning on continuing to expand east throughout 2021, 2022. So if you're in the Greater Toronto area and you haven't claimed your listing, or if you know of a service that should be included, please reach out to our help desk and we will help you, is kind of my pitch here. We have over 6,600 listings that have already been claimed and are currently being managed by service providers themselves. So, and we also have several areas already across PEI and Nova Scotia that have services mapped. And if you're interested in if HelpSeeker is in your area, I would encourage you to check out our website or search for your area in the map and just check out those listings. Now, how does this app solve your problems? It's up to date, real time, and interactive systems map helps you connect to relevant community and social services in your area. As a client or end user, it can also be an opportunity to leave anonymous feedback and ratings right from the app to reflect your user experience. No training or sign up required. You can now effectively use a single app to help everyone in need. Your clients who have access to technology and don't require your expertise can now use the app themselves. All you need to do is refer them to the navigation app. We have a quick exit button for those who may have concerns with privacy and/or safety. With thousands of location-based programs available, smart language recognition, and AI capabilities, you're certain to find those best fit programs, services, helplines, or benefits for each client. The app has an exhaustive list of services available in each area, so you can be sure that all the options are presented to you and your client. Again, the app's available in 23 languages. No more Googling, so save copious hours and frustration Googling services and programs. The app allows you to share, so via email, text, WhatsApp, any of those messaging services. You can save, a listing or a favorite resource for later. You can connect directly from the app to the location, phone, email, website. You can search specific categories for just COVID-related services. This was launched during COVID, and we will be definitely highlighting some of those features in a moment. Many listings are managed directly by service providers themselves, which ensures that those latest changes to the programs are promptly reflected on the listings. HelpSeeker regularly updates all the listings that are not currently being managed by service providers, so there is a process there. Lastly, the HelpSeeker app is completely free. There's no sign up, there's no login, no passwords. It's also free in-app purchases and in-app ads. And I will highlight most of these features in just a few minutes, along with our well-being screener. So we'll just kind of briefly take a look at that well-being screener before we dive right in. So our well-being screener is both an app and a tool, and it is designed to gauge an individual's well-being across 15 dimensions, such as income, housing, health, and safety. HelpSeeker has created this self-guided well-being assessment tool, which asks a series of questions aimed at identifying potential areas for improvement. So then based on the results, the app makes suggestions for programs, services, helplines, or benefits relevant to your needs and available in your geographical area. These results are being fed by our HelpSeeker navigation app, so the one we just talked about. And similarly, every time you access the listings, those latest updates are reflected real time. Now, in your practice, you've likely encountered individuals who may not have a clear picture of their overall well-being, especially with the recent changes in the world. It's unpredictability overall. They may be questioning their state of mental health. I'm just going to kind of read off some of the categories here. Faith and community belonging, their connection to their cultural identity, ability to be creative and pursue self-expression, or even their access to nature. So here is an opportunity to quickly assess any urgent needs and start the process of understanding what resources are available and share them with your client, friend, family right away. So eliminate the need to gather contact information, research program options, and ensure they are a good client fit. By using this tool, you can view all the necessary information right from the same place. And you can save those listings you often refer clients to for easy retrieval when you need to pass that information along. All right, without further ado, let's take a look at some of these examples. So today we have, like we've said, Danielle from Help Desk joining us. She's on an iPhone 7. I confirmed with her before she's on here. So we're going to be using that as an example. However, if you have another smartphone device and it's Android or so on, you should be able to follow along pretty fine. The icons might look a little bit different. So any of those questions, do pop them into the, please do pop them into the chat box and we'll try to address them. All right, so I'll give Danny a second to open up her phone, and then I'll walk you through these 3 examples we have. Excellent. Give her a second. We just have to transfer a little bit of the sharing here. So gives everybody an opportunity to open their app too if you wanted to follow along. Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. Excellent. So we'll let her launch the app so we can see them on our screen right there. We have the 2 there, so that's what they're going to look like. Thank you. Yep, we can go ahead and open it. Now, because finding services can be tricky, especially right now, when you open the app, you have the option to quickly identify in your area, programs in your area that are open during COVID and any additional information affecting regular service. So if I want to learn more about these supports, I can click Find Help. And by clicking Find Help, so I'll get Danny to do that right now. We have this neat kind of pointer, so you'll know where we're clicking. So now we can notice right underneath that search bar at the top, we can see COVID-19 highlighted. Great, thank you. So now all the results at the bottom of the screen are going to be COVID, and they're going to reflect those recent changes. So thank you very much. Just wanted to point them out. Okay, our 3 examples. So we'll get started right away. Client 1, mom looking for counseling services for her friend in Red Deer, Alberta. So first, just want to mention we're joining you from Calgary today, and our app uses geolocation. So in order to get results for Red Deer, Alberta, we will have to use the smart search bar at the top of the screen to search for services in that area. So at the very top where we see specify your search, and I'll let Danny point it out. I know her mouse has a little bit of a lag there. Great, that we're going to go ahead and we're going to type in Red Deer, Alberta. And when Danny's typing, we'll see some suggestions appear in a drop-down menu. And when we see Red Deer, and then we can see that little map pin there, we can go ahead and click on it. Now the map here is displaying Red Deer, and all results displayed will be located in Red Deer. So in this example, we are looking for a family counseling program. Let's search for those 2 terms in our advanced search, which is the 3 vertical lines in the right side of the smart search bar. So top right-hand corner. Thank you. And when we open it up, the services listed under each category are displayed in alphabetical order. And I'll give Danny just a minute to kind of slowly scroll through those so we can take a look at them, give you a chance to find them on your own phone. And then once we find those 2 terms we're looking for, so counseling and family, we just kind of have to click on them. Great, and once we find both of them, we'll give her a second, then we can click search at the bottom. Now under the smart search bar at the top, we can see those 2 categories that we are searching in. There is a small X to the right of each of those tags. So if we would like to refine our search further, we could add additional categories, or alternatively, if we omit a search category, we would broaden our search results. You can see a number of results. So we'll let Danny pull up the results at the bottom of the menu, and we'll see a number of results there. Great. You can scroll through all the relevant programs to find a program that interests you. So by just taking a look and scrolling, once you find that program, oh, give her a second. I don't want to move too fast here. Technologies is kind of a finicky thing. Thank you very much. So we can see all those programs there that are offered in the area for those search inquiries. We'll let Danny select one, and we can take a look at what those listings look like and the information in there. Great. So once we find one that looks great, we'll just click directly on that listing. Great. We can see some of them have, images. So perfect. So here we can view helpful information. So including hours and contact information, including phone, email, website, and address, as well as any eligibility criteria, whether the agency or program is wheelchair accessible, and a short and helpful description about the program or service. We can also scroll down to see if there is any other locations or programs offered by the same organization. So then if the program looks like a great fit, we can go ahead and connect to that service. So I'm just going to talk about some of the icons near the top of the listings, and I'll talk about them from left to right. So Danny, hopefully you'll be able to follow along with your pointer here. Okay, far left is call, where the icon will connect you with the agency's phone number. So that telephone icon is the call. Next, we have the favorites icon. That's that heart there, which allows us to save those listings for later. So great for those resources that you commonly refer clients to. And by adding listings to this favorites, every time you open the listing, the most relevant and updated information you'll have access to. Right in the middle there, we have go to. Now this will show you the services you selected in relationship to other services mapped in your community. And then directions will connect you to either Google or in this case, Apple Maps. Last, on the very far right, we have a share icon, which of course allows us to share those listings to our clients, friends, and families, so we can share them via text, email, WhatsApp, or copy to your clipboard for later. At the top within the agency name bar, you will find a write a review little icon. We'll look at that in the next demonstration here. But this will allow you to leave a star rating that is viewable by all users, as well as the option to leave written feedback that is only viewable to the service provider themselves. So thank you very much, Danny, for showing us and pointing out those features. We'll jump right into our next example. Client number 2, an individual looking for suicide help for a friend. The friend lives in Toronto, Ontario, and is looking for a 24-hour help or crisis line. So we will be creating another search. So let's clear out our last search inquiry. Great. We can clear the search if you haven't done so already by selecting clear all. It'll be a little tag underneath that search bar, or of course you could just X out each individual tag. Now we're searching another area. So again, we will need to identify where we would like that search to take place. So in that smart search bar at the top again, let's type in Toronto. Because again, our example is an individual in Toronto looking for a suicide helpline. Perfect, and I can see that Toronto, Ontario pin there. Now again, this is going to help us identify all of the programs and listings in this area. So we can again open up the advanced search. So again, those 3 vertical lines on the top right-hand corner. And here we're looking for suicide from the list of categories. Danny's going to kind of slowly go through those so we can take a look at some of those options. We'll find suicide underneath mental health and addictions. We'll give her a second here. Once we find it, we can go ahead and click search. I believe on an Android, the advanced search might be horizontal. Great. Now to search for a helpline, we will need to open the menu items at the bottom of the screen. So you can do this by pulling up the bottom of the screen to display those additional options. Again, from left to right, we have a listings icon to represent agencies, programs, services. Next is a telephone, which represents traditional telephone line supports, chat lines, and some interactive websites. And last, we have a benefits icon, which are going to typically be financial in nature. For this example, we are interested in a telephone line, so we will select the telephone. Great, we can see there's 10 results, and we can view them by pulling up those results from the bottom of our screen. So once we find a helpline that meets our search inquiry, we can share or save it just the same as before, our last example. Great, so again, it links us to all that same information, share it with a friend, mark it as a favorite, and so on. Great, we have one more example, but before we demonstrate that, I would just like to point out our bulletin, which was a feature developed in light of COVID. So Danny, if I can, perfect, that's the screen I'm looking for. The bulletin is already available in many communities across Canada, and to access it, you would click on the blue gear icon on the left-hand side. So underneath that zoom in and out map buttons. I'm just gonna, if we can just linger on the screen for a second so everybody can have a chance to identify it, would be great. So again, on the left-hand side, we see that zoom in, zoom out map function, and right underneath there is a blue gear icon. That's where we're gonna find the bulletin. So let's go ahead and click on that now. Now the bulletin highlights COVID-specific resources that are in a shareable and in a printable format for those who may not have access to technology. Here we can type in our area. So for this example, let's just type in Medicine Hat. And then we can access the PDF and see, once we kind of confirm there, we can see the latest updated version, which was today, January 21st. These COVID bulletin editions are updated and available on our site daily. So depending on your area, you may or may not find one. Reach out to Help Desk if you're interested in knowing what COVID supports are available in your area. And by clicking on the text, of course, Danny did it, it creates that download, and then you can save it to your computer, print it, email it, and so on. So thank you very much. We'll let Danny X out of that. Our last example. So client number 3. So we're back to the beginning, that home screen again. A resident in Abbotsford, BC is experiencing hunger. So we've already used we'll have to use that smart search bar again to search Abbotsford. So again, we can use this smart search bar for a number of things. One is that location. Great, see it right there. Abbotsford, BC is what we're looking for. So we've now used this smart search bar 3 times to change our location. It actually has other functions too. So not only does its smart language capabilities allow us to search locations, so like we did, but we can also search for an agency by name. So for example, we could type in Boys and Girls Club, YWCA, and so on. We can search for services by the service. So, looking for counseling or therapy support. We can also search for, we can also search by need. So this is what we're going to do in this example. So let's type in I'm hungry in that same search bar we just used. Perfect. And again, so this is going to identify a need rather than a service. So I'm hungry. Now note right underneath that smart search bar, we can see it's identified food. So we could have alternatively typed food bank, food hamper, soup kitchen, brown bag lunch, or free meal, for example. All of these examples would help connect you to those food resources. And then again, those results are at the bottom. So I'll get Danielle to scroll up, and we'll just kind of look at some of those listings and select one. I think we already have one chosen, and then we'll talk about some of the features. So once we find that listing, we can click on it to view the information. Thank you very much. Perfect. Okay, now let's take a look at this write review. So right at the top there, underneath the agency name, we see that little text. It says write a review, so top right-hand corner. And if we click on this, we can quickly, easily, and of course this is anonymous. We didn't sign in. we can write a review there. Now, these reviews are available to the agency themselves, are not viewed publicly. That is very intentional for HelpSeeker. So we know some of the clients that we're working with do experience or may be experiencing vulnerabilities. So we do want to, keep everybody safe and great. And then the star rating. So we can then select a 1 to 5 star rating. And this is reflected publicly on the site. So nice way for you to reflect on your user experience there. Great. Thank you very much. We are finishing demonstrating some of the features available, but before we move on and look at that well-being screener, I just want to ask Jenny if any questions have come through for this app, and we can ask Danny to demonstrate while she has it open. And maybe Danny, while you're sitting on this screen, we can see Abbotsford as a whole, and we see these large circle dots, yellow and blue. So the colors actually just represent the concentration of services. So, double digits are yellow here, blue is those single digits. We can zoom in and see a breakout of those. So as we zoom in closer, of course, it's unlikely those 83 locations are in the same building. So we'll be able to see the breakup there. I'll let Danny kind of scroll over it and hover it as we learn about the questions, and we can see them pop up at the bottom too. So as Danny's moving them, we're just gonna, show you the zoom in function. Great, over to you, Jenny. Did any questions come in?
Well, we just had one question come in, though. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. Catherine asked, have you ever had a ghost post from a non-legit service?
Oh, interesting. So the feedback would actually go to the agencies themselves. So it is one of our features from the back end. To manage your listing as a service provider is absolutely free, and we have a webinar coming up about that next week. There is some subscription or some additional features you can subscribe to. So that additional feedback actually doesn't come through HelpSeeker, it goes to you yourself. So unless somebody was to tell me about these ghost ones, I'm probably not likely to know. Great question though.
Yeah, and we had one more question come in. Are you going to be including reserves?
Oh, a great question as well. So yes and no. Yes, mostly. We are working across Canada, and we are, actively working on engagement and just understanding what those services look like for those communities. We of course really want them to be unique and really speak to the needs and what the community is looking for. So as we move across Canada, we are always looking for those engagement opportunities to just really make sure the systems map is reflected. Of course, with on reserve and off reserves, we are really conscious about, making sure that our principals and we're collecting information in a respectful way and using it very respectfully. So there is a little bit of an engagement and a piece there as well, but absolutely. So if you are on a reserve or you're interested in mapping or what that might look like for an Indigenous community, what services, might be important there, do reach out. We'd love to have that conversation. Okay, excellent. I did want to say, so when that ghost post brought something to light, so there is a little kind of, when you do create that rating and leave the feedback, you do check a box, which just kind of eliminates some of those robotic replies on our site. So a little bit of a check there.
And there was one other question that came through, Nicole. So is there a way to expand the search area from within the map search criteria? So for instance, if I am with a client in a rural area and looking up resources in the city, will it provide me the listing, or do I have to be in that specific area to see the listing pop up?
Yeah, great question. So both you can do. So of course you can use that map function. You can zoom in. When you zoom in and you move your map on your screen, those are where your results are going to show. So if you wanted to expand your search and, perhaps you want to know of other searches in the surrounding areas, you would zoom out to learn about those services. And then of course, to narrow it in, you would just zoom in a little bit closer to specify it. So yeah, absolutely great question.
And also, sorry, I know you said this already, Nicole, but just to reiterate that you can certainly put your specific location up in the search toolbar up at the top there as well.
Yeah, definitely. So perfect. So we briefly spoke about the Wellbeing Screener app like a few slides ago. So we'll look at it in more depth now. But before we do, I'm going to point out that big red flag on the right-hand side of the screen, on Danny's screen there. So this is our quick exit button. So to exit out of it, you would click this. It's going to shut down the app. So we'll let Danny exit out that way, and she's going to launch the Wellbeing Screener for us. So thank you. Perfect. So yep, just kind of shuts that down. So we'll start by opening the app, and you can see it on the screen. So that's what it'll look like. The app will automatically open to this home screen. This was freshly kind of downloaded, so there'll be this introduction slide, but once you get past this first step and you click start, we'll be able to see that home screen. So go ahead, Danny. Thank you. Oh, I'm gonna actually just get you to hit cancel one time. There we go. This is the screen I'm looking for. So this is what we would consider the home screen. So our menu options, we can see here, help offers, my needs. So my needs is going to show us our result history and a favorite section. And survey again is going to allow us to launch this wellbeing screener, screening questions and the way to start the screening process. So please, Danny, let's go ahead and select survey again. It starts out by asking us some demographic questions about age, relationship status, and other. I'll let Danny complete those, and once she's done completing, she will just click next at the bottom. Here is where you are asked those 15 questions to gauge your well-being across dimensions. So as she scrolls through them, I'm going to read them out. So we have financial needs, employment, education and training. Notice when she's selecting different icons, they are color coded. We'll talk about this in a second. Information and technology, transportation, food, housing, safety needs, legal assistance, health and medical, mental health and addictions, community, family and belonging, spirituality and culture, relationship to environment and nature, and lastly, arts and creativity. Now, once complete, so click next at the very bottom of the screen to view your results and to quickly and visually identify areas that you might be struggling in, doing poor in, neutral, good, or excellent. So the colors correspond with how you answer the questions. Great. So at the very bottom, we've taken a look at that. We'll be able to pop to that next screen. Now you'll be asked which area you are looking to view services in. So for this example, we'll use Calgary because this is where we are. You will also notice that you have an option to use your location as well. But of course, if you are looking for, perhaps you're looking for services for a family member, a friend, and maybe they don't live in the same community, you could also, specify which area you're looking for. Great. Help offers, we see at the very top. So let's click on that top box. The top menu, so it's going to display now across the top, Danny, where we see food, information, and technology. These are going to correspond with those 15 questions that we just answered. So, and by selecting specific areas and specific tags is going to help us refine our search. So I would like you to just, if we can go ahead and select them all, would be really great. Now the colors that are showing up is how we rated them in those questions. So these are ones that said we are struggling in, and then as they turn more green, then we're doing okay in them. And then we'll also notice those listings at the bottom correspond with the colors as well. So, we're looking for those food resources. That's an urgent need. We can quickly identify which ones are which and help us sort them out there. Great, thank you very much. So once you see, again, same as the last step, once you see a program that looks like it'll meet your needs, you simply select it to view the contact and eligibility information, as well as a short description explaining the service. On the top middle, so at the very top of the screen middle, you can share the resources via text, email, or other messaging services, or you can save the listings for later by clicking on the heart. So let's go back to our other menu options, please. And we're doing that by just hitting that back button on the top left there. Now, My Needs is going to open up our latest results, as well as there are two options in the top right-hand corner to view your history and edit your information. So we can see this app, we had re-downloaded it, or you would have seen all our previous histories there. And then there's where we can edit our information. So we have one more feature to look at, which is favorites. So if we can just go back to that home screen again. Now this is where you'll be able to save those listings for later. So simply click on the listing you would like to share, and from the top middle of the listing itself, great, allows you to share it along. And lastly, when we return to that home menu, you can repeat the survey at the bottom. So there is no limit to how often you can complete the screener. You can use it with every client, every time, and even over a period of time. So some places that this screener can be easily implemented are within your own clients, in your workplace, amongst your colleagues, friends and family. So lots of great places to use it. Thank you. Jenny, do you mind just checking to see if any questions came in about the well-being screener while we have it up, and then we can demonstrate well.
Well, we don't have any. We don't have any specific questions that have come up. However, Catherine has just put up her hand and just wrote WES. So just one second. Oh, she's typing something. So do you have a prepared marketing piece to share with communities?
Yes, that's a very, the answer is yes. So we do present a number of different ways. So one of them is webinars. So we hosted some in December. This is kind of our second part to this series. And we will have more offered as the year kind of progresses to highlight new things. And we are changing. We're always using that user feedback to improve services. So as those new features come, we do that. And we are working on, we have some kind of product guidelines and stuff that will be available and out shortly as well to kind of support some of these tools we have. So absolutely, I would encourage you to check at the very end. We have Jenny will have her contact information up there, as well as help desk, and I would definitely encourage you to reach out and we can pass those along as well. Did you have anything to add there, Jenny?
Yeah, actually, I was going to say that we do have a digital download package that we've kind of been keeping it on the down low, but it's not a trade secret. We can certainly share it with you. We are happy to send that out. So I'm more than happy to send it out with the recording when I send out the recording for this webinar to everyone that has registered. So it'll give you kind of, it provides really kind of specific directions on how to download the marketing materials that you can use there and how to go about doing that. So great question. Thank you for asking, Catherine. I'm so glad you're interested in helping to promote it.
Great. So just to kind of sum up everything we did, so we just reviewed the two apps that we have available and took a closer look at the main differences between them. So, and I just want to be really clear, there are two separate apps to download. So we have the search app, which would be well suited for any end user, client, frontline worker where information and navigation is part of their job and who are looking for a comprehensive directory of programs in their area. Either they have an understanding of what services might be helpful, or they are able to navigate the advanced search and or the smart search function to locate those services. Also a great tool to arm and familiarize your teenagers or even your parents with, as they are often those great sources of information. And then we have the well-being screener, which would be great for those individuals who may be unsure about their current well-being and allows for users to capture their well-being in a point in time, to identify potential needs and to learn about what help services are available in your community. Also great for those who want to track their progress over time. So yep, I'll turn it over to Jenny now for anything further, and just another big thank you to everybody that helped with this demonstration and everybody watching. So thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. So it doesn't look like any new questions have come in through the chat. So I'm just going to flip it right over to our last slide here, because I do see that we're a little bit over time. My apologies. We've just got a couple of last minute things to mention before we let you go. So if you're a service provider or an agency and you'd like to learn more about how HelpSeeker can help make your services accessible by anyone and everyone in your community, we really encourage you to attend our upcoming webinar, which is designed specifically for service providers. And that is going to be next Thursday, January 28th at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time or 11 a.m. Eastern Time. 12 noon Eastern Time, my apologies. So we'll include a link to the register for that particular webinar in the email that I will send out to you shortly. And we want to finish off with a bit of a request. We make products that make accessing social services and programs easy for everyone. And user experience is at the core of every product that we develop. So this is where we would really appreciate your help. We challenge you to download the apps if you haven't done so already and use them for a week in your day-to-day work. So you can hopefully answer these questions that are listed here on the screen. So how many services did you find that you didn't know existed? How much time did you save by looking up services on the app instead of having to Google them? How many programs were you able to refer your clients to? What was your favorite feature? And what did you not like about the apps? So please feel free to send your answers and any other comments or questions that you have about the apps to me. So that's jenny@helpseeker.org. My email address is listed there at the bottom of the screen. And your name will be kind of input in for a chance to win a $10 Starbucks gift card. So thank you everyone so much for your time, and we look forward to making your job easier. Take care everyone, and all the best. Bye-bye.